Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and we head down to the sidelines. Our sideline reporter, Laura Oakman.
Hi, Chris. It was a simple reason the Browns decided to release Josh Gordon. I was told by a Cleveland official it was simply a matter of trust, nothing more complicated than that. Saying we supported him through training camp, but told him then if there's another issue, we are done. We have 52 guys trying to do it the right way. We can't trust one. We need to move on. Every single player I talked to said the same thing. I wish him the best, but our ownership made the right decision for Josh and for this team. Chris?
Thank you very much. And Hugh Jackson's offense will start without him. The Saints won the toss but deferred. Will Lutz ready to kick off game 2. Browns Saints is happening in New Orleans. Jabril Peppers on the return. And a hole for Peppers. Spins up around the 31-32 yard line before he is brought down. And Tyrod Taylor leads the offense. Yes, Tyrod. Just ask him, and we did, to make sure that first name is pronounced that way. And the number of starting quarterbacks you see going back to 99. But what's interesting, since Drew Brees started for the Saints in 2006, the Browns have used 21 different quarterbacks, including Tyrod Taylor, backed up by Baker Mayfield. 27-yard return on that opening kickoff by Peppers, and we'll see him on this young and talented Browns defense. Duke Johnson starts at running back. Taylor, catch made by Jarvis Landry up across the 35-yard line. Taking a look at the Browns offensive line for Tyrod Taylor, and it will be the rookie Antonio Callaway, the 4th-round draft pick out of Florida, stepping into the Josh Gordon spot. And Jarvis Landry coming off a 7-catch, 100-yard receiving day.
A big thing there, though, Desmond Harris, keep an eye on him. He's athletic on the outside, but how does he go against these power rushers from the Saints off the edge?
Carlos Hyde is in the backfield now, and the former Buckeye runs into a wall, but doesn't go down easily. And finally, the whistle blows. It'll bring up 3rd down against the Saints defense that did not have a sack or a takeaway. They've got 3 first-round picks up there in the Cameron Jordan and Sheldon Rankins, and this year's #1 Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, just one of the reasons why it was an underperformance by this Saints group last week against Tampa Bay. This was supposed to be an ascending group, getting ready to take that next step, and they really struggled last week against Tampa Bay. Surprising to see how well Tampa run it. We'll see if they got that fixed during the course of the week.
Duke Johnson on 3rd and 4. Cut down at the 42-yard line. Looks like he's just short, and Alex Okafor made the play. And here comes the punting unit for Cleveland.
A good start for this Saints defense, because one of the things that Hugh Jackson wants to do on the road, get that run game established, and one of the guys he wanted to use was Duke Johnson right here. A little toss to the edge. Good pursuit inside out by the Saints defense.
Tommy Lee Lewis back to return the attempted punt of Britton Colquitt. Lewis, fair catch, wave for, has to run up and slide around the 30-yard line. Good effort by him to keep it from bouncing. Saints offense led by Drew Brees, who after week 1 had more passing yards than anybody in the NFL. In fact, coming off his NFL record 16th 400-yard passing game.
Nothing wrong with this offense, and Michael Thomas just had a huge game. Alvin Kamara, you know, traditionally as effective as he was, the big question mark I have about this offense, who else? Who else besides Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara will be the playmakers in this offense?
Blue 80, what's that?
From the 30 of New Orleans, Kamara stopped right away. Offensive line welcomes back left guard Andrus Peat, who was out injured. And who else will it be? Ted Ginn maybe, or the veteran tight end Benjamin Watson helping out Kamara and Michael Thomas, who had an outstanding record-setting day last Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of big-time skill players on this offense, but that offensive line doesn't get enough credit. Those guys don't have their opportunities without those 5 guys up front.
After a gain of 1, Kamara drops behind Brees. Browns delay blitz. Kamara has it, and he glides through the Cleveland defense up near the 40 and close to a first down. A young defense led up front by Myles Garrett. Had a couple of sacks and a couple of forced fumbles last week.
Myles Garrett is healthy. A high ankle sprain 4 days before the opener last year cost him some games and really costed his kind of rookie season. They made an emphasis on getting guys in the secondary. Denzel Ward, they brought in Demarius Randall. That was their emphasis, to go with that front that was progressing. This is their second season in Greg Williams' defense.
Ready.
Third down, 2.
Hey, 22 paint. 22 paint. 22 paint. 5-1, 5-1. Ready.
Breeze from the pocket. First down catch, Michael Thomas. Ball comes out, and the Browns are on it. Let's see if he stayed in bounds. Yes. Thomas, who fumbled last week, loses it, and Demarius Randall is there for the Cleveland recovery.
That was the thing that Sean Payton talked to us about on Friday afternoon, was lost possessions by the turnovers right here. We mentioned the game that Michael Thomas had last week against Tampa Bay. 17 targets, 16 catches, 180 yards, but it was that turnover, that fumble that he had. He starts this game with another turnover.
And Terrence Mitchell with the tackle and shook the ball loose, as all turnovers will be reviewed. Randall with a sideline recovery ruled a fumble recovery, Cleveland. And they'll take over on offense.
Game is sponsored by NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV.
The officials have reviewed the fumble and recovery by Cleveland.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands as called. It's Cleveland's ball, first down.
Ron Torbert, our referee. That's already the 7th takeaway for the Browns in the first quarter of game 2.
It's unbelievable. We asked them about their performance last week and how do you continue that. Every defensive coach preaches taking the ball away. It's one of the biggest factors in a game, but only 13 takeaways all of last season. They've got 7 already. They never won the turnover battle in 2017.
Second straight week with a lost fumble for Michael Thomas. On first down, Tyrod Taylor with a screen. It's Carlos Hyde trying to put a move on. And gets down around the 40-yard line of the Saints. Well, one advantage Tyrod Taylor brings, and he only went 15 of 40 last week through the air, but he did lead the team in rushing, averaging over 9.5 a carry. Quarterbacks have had success running against the Saints defense over the years, even 35-year-old Ryan Fitzpatrick last week.
Yeah, not big yardage, but very effective when he did pull the ball down and run.
Inside the 40 after a gain of 7. It's a handoff to Antonio Callaway after they faked to Duke Johnson. He was kind of gliding inside the 30 for a first down, and they're going to spot it at the 24 of the Saints.
Well, you mentioned Tyrod Taylor as a passer in the pocket, but also the ability to escape. How about a blocker? Watch your quarterback right here. He gets the key block on the edge. Gets outside. This is well done. Run through that outside thigh.
Callaway starting for Josh Gordon, who the Browns have moved on from, in case you weren't paying attention to the news earlier today. And Hyde goes forward. Let's get a game break. Check in with Carissa Thompson. Hey, Carissa.
Hey, Chris. We go to Tampa Bay, a team that the Saints aren't too happy with considering last week. And guess what? Ryan Fitzpatrick picking up right where he left off. A 75-yard touchdown by Deshaun Jackson has his squad up early 7-0. Chris, Daryl, and Laura.
All right. Wow. Bucks keep rolling on offense. NFC South, Carolina and Atlanta scoreless in that matchup.
Gonna have to change the nickname from Fitzmagic to the Mad Bomber. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, no 50-yard catches last season. He starts out this year, one in week 1 and now another one in week 2.
A.J. Klein making the stop for Sean Payton. The spirited practice on Friday. A little noisier, a little mouthier for the Saints.
Yeah, they all denied it, but we were here last week in preparation for Tampa Bay. There was a much more sense of urgency during the course of the Friday practice.
On 3rd and 8, let's see what this Saints defense can come up with. From the 22 of New Orleans, Taylor to Duke Johnson. And he's knocked down short of the first down. A big stop after the turnover for this defense that gave up the 48 last week.
And that was the problem last week against Pittsburgh. You talked about taking the ball away 6 times, but they only got points off of one of those takeaways. So we'll see if they can convert that takeaway into points here in the start of this game.
39-yard field goal attempt for Zane Gonzalez. Had that blocked by the Steelers' TJ Watt on the 43-yard kick in overtime. That try that could have won the game. And got it. Browns trying to win their first road game since 2015. A takeaway leads to 3. They'll be kicking off to the Saints in a moment.
This game is sponsored by Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Down here in Louisiana, Browns and Saints opening quarter. Cleveland with the lead after the turnover. Taysom Hill, third-string quarterback, a jack of all trades, back to return. And he'll come out to the 25-yard line. Breeze will lead the offense once again. And on his way to the Hall of Fame. Second in completions, third in attempts. Third in yards. Peyton Manning, of course, the all-time leader. Tied for third in touchdowns with Tom Brady. Brady plays later today, so he could be in third place alone, trailing Manning and Favre on that list. And the numbers keep piling up. They script the first 15 plays. It was working okay until the loose football.
5-1, 5-1.
As Kamara is the back.
Blue 80, what's that?
And that'll be the one area that they can kind of control, you know, Alvin Kamara's contribution to the offense. A little bit of concern about how they're going to manage this through the first month with Mark Ingram out. And last week, although he had the most snaps he's ever had, the biggest percentage, it was still just 17 touches. And in the run game, that's where Sean Payton is going to be able to control that. So he's got to have one of the other guys, Mike Gillislee, Jonathan Williams, Boston Scott. They've got to be able to lighten some of that load for Alvin Kamara in the run game.
He picked up 2. Breeze to throw. And Kamara catches and breaks a tackle and gets a first down.
And that's what I mean. If you can monitor the touches in the run game, you allow him to get into space. And that's the second time already this game where we see Alvin Kamara out in space and how difficult he is to get on the ground. I mean, this is short of the first down for a lot of guys in the NFL, but not for Alvin Kamara.
His 3-touchdown, 141 scrimmage yard performance last week with 52 snaps. Most he's ever had in his brief NFL career. Open, first down inside the 45 is Tre'Quan Smith, the rookie from Central Florida.
Hey, we didn't see him last week.
They thought he would figure more in their plans last week, but was a non-factor. But a big catch here, a gain of 18.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that you read about during training camp, and we got to the opener and just not a lot of productivity. It was really Austin Carr who was the guy that had the opportunities last week. So we'll see what kind of afternoon Tre'Quan has today.
Extra lineman comes in against Greg Williams' defense here.
Liz, hey, kill. 5-3, ready. Blue 80, what's that?
Nowhere to go for Kamara, maybe a yard. You heard kill from Drew Brees.
Changing that play at the line of scrimmage. It'll be a chess game. You saw Greg Williams, right before that snap. He knows Drew well, has a lot of respect for Drew. His biggest challenge, he thought, was going to be the pace. Sometimes you can get caught with the wrong defense going. He understands those scripted plays you talked about, and the fact that Sean Payton is waiting to see what is Greg Williams' reaction to this personnel group when we line up this way. How does Greg want to defend us?
Second and 9 for Brees blitz, and he dumps it off to Kamara, who gets a block and gets that yardage to the 36 of Cleveland, where it'll bring up third down. Yeah, Greg Williams, for the time he spent in New Orleans, and he called Sean Payton the best coach he ever worked for. Thought that was interesting. But when I said, well, you know Drew Brees from your time here, I said, if you have an edge on me, he said, whatever edge I have, he'll have more of an edge because Brees outworks everybody.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you hear from everybody, the preparation, and you'll hear a lot of comparisons, and we'll get into a little bit of it today with Baker Mayfield on the opposite sideline with that size and everything. But you cannot replace the preparation and everything that happens Monday through Friday that Drew Brees does.
Blue 80, what's that?
They need a yard, and Alvin Kamara shoved back backwards. Did not. Well, we'll see where they give that effort. Jabril Peppers met him head on. And they are going to give him that forward surge. Good enough for a first down.
Yeah, good tackle by Jabril Peppers, but Alvin Kamara already had the yardage necessary. He's just got to break that 35-yard line. You can see right there. That's a great tackle, good form. But one of the things that Sean Payton was upset about the game last week was it became one-dimensional. So you're seeing him run the ball a little bit more here, try to control that flow.
Hey, eagle, eagle, eagle.
So far, 6 runs and 5 pass attempts.
Ready, set.
And here comes Breeze. Looks one way and completes. Kamara spinning. Boy, he just doesn't go down easily.
No, if you add up all those little yards by the end of the game, he's probably picked up 18, 22 yards that you wouldn't expect because, he gets an extra 2 yards at the end of each run.
He's only 5'10", 215, drafted in the 3rd round last year and worked so well with Mark Ingram, who again is missing for the first 4 games because of a suspension for New Orleans. And as he checks out, the only other 2 active backs are Gillislee. This is Jonathan Williams who's in.
Ready,
Breeze for the end zone. Incomplete, and a flag flies at the goal line. TJ Carey covering Austin Carr.
And this is exactly the type of play that Greg Williams talked to us about when we met with him last night. The seam route, coverage is tight, and Drew Brees will put it on that back shoulder and give his receiver an opportunity for a catch. There's Austin Carr working out of the slot. Watch the position of this ball when it gets there. That's good coverage. TJ Carey's in a good position. And Austin Carr has a chance for the catch. He should have caught that for the touchdown.
Yeah, and if Carey had turned around, he might have had a chance, or at least.
And I don't think there's interference there.
Pass interference. Defense, number 38. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Ron Torbert sees interference. And a big play against Carey being spoken to by the official.
And now he didn't get his head around, but it didn't seem like he didn't even know the ball was coming in, so he didn't know that it was there. Little hands right there.
Yeah, ball in the air.
But they're both doing it. It's one of those tough calls. It can go either way. I like when they let him play on the outside. So for me right now, just understand that Ron Torbert and his crew are going to call it a little bit tight. They're not going to allow that hand checking at the point of the catch.
A 25-yard penalty. First and goal. Breeze overthrew a wide open Benjamin Watson after a terrific fake into the middle.
There he is on the outside. Good sell, engaged, releases quick. Oh, you can't get more open than that.
That's the first incompletion in 8 attempts for Breeze to start this game. Watson is 6'3" and extended those arms. Kamara back in it, running back. Alvin Kamara dragged down short of the goal line. Chris Smith, who started for Emmanuel Ogbah, who, because of a left ankle injury, could not go on the defensive line, making the play. Boy, look at this defense with Myles Garrett and Jabril Peppers and Denzel Ward. It's a talented, well-layered Cleveland group of defenders.
And then they've got some guys that nobody's really heard about that play well. Joe Schobert. You've got Jamie Collins, came over from the Patriots. This is a talented defense. And again, year 2 in this defense, they get more and more comfortable about the nuances of it.
On 3rd down, it's Kamara, touchdown, and a flag flies.
There were 2 fouls during the play, both by the offense. Holding. Offense number 89, that penalty is declined. Holding. Offense number 10, that penalty is accepted. 10 yards. Replay 3rd down.
Tre'Quan Smith and Josh Hill caught holding. It'll negate the touchdown.
They're both going to be at the end of the line. Pretty nice play action right there with Alvin Kamara coming on the coming from that back wing underneath. It's one of those special plays you dial up in your red zone goal line area, and with the penalty right there, they lose an opportunity for that touchdown.
3rd and goal. Backed up outside the 10. Breeze with a bullet. Target was Michael Thomas, and it's going to be 4th down. Will Lutz will come on and try and tie the game. So the Cleveland defense, backed up on their own end zone with the help of a penalty, keep Breeze and the Saints out of it.
Drew is going to be very frustrated having Ben Watson wide open in the end zone, overthrowing him there to just make that drive, the touchdown drive, instead of the field goal attempt here.
Yeah, and then the penalties negate the Alvin Kamara run. So Lutz from 30 yards. He was 1 of 1 last week, and he hit on all 3 of his extra point tries. He ties the game at 3. Just under 3 minutes to play on the opening quarter here in New Orleans. Missed opportunities for the Saints. They don't get the touchdown, but they do get the field goal, and we're tied at 3.
Game is sponsored by Chevy. Chevy has earned J.D. Power Dependability Awards across cars, trucks, and SUVs. And by Burger King. Enjoy the Bacon King sandwich only at BK.
Saints moving the football 63 yards. Over 5.5 minutes, 11 plays, and settled for a field goal as Will Lutz kicks. And it's Peppers. He's bringing it out deep in the end zone, 7 or 8 yards deep. And just across the 20-yard line, where Tyrod Taylor will lead the offense. So Sean Payton going over to Ben Watson on the missed opportunity. Ball was overthrown in the end zone, but Breeze says, no, it's all right, hang in, and that was on me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was a little bit rushed, and here's the end of that play. You can see how open that play design created for Ben Watson, and just a little miscue right there by Drew Brees.
Cleveland with a 3-3 tie here. Also, the Falcons and Panthers are tied at 3 as well. Steelers are losing. The team that tied Cleveland last week is Hyde. Is shoved backwards.
And this is one of the things that, you know, watching the film last week of Cleveland-Pittsburgh, when Cleveland got into run personnel, multiple tight ends, fullbacks, and tight ends, they struggled to run the football against Pittsburgh. And Todd Haley, when he got into some, 3 wide and they ran the ball out of that formation, those personnel groupings, they seemed to run the ball more effectively. That was 2 tight ends, 1 wide receiver. It's kind of, that you're showing a little bit of run, and they struggled last week, and they're struggling a little bit here at the beginning to run in those formations and personnels.
Yeah, Hyde averaged less than 3 a carry last week. Again, Taylor led him in rushing. 2nd down 9. Protecting the football is Carlos Hyde, but down at the 24. Let's get another game break. Check in again with Carissa.
So we all know what happened last week. The Browns and Pittsburgh tied this week. Well, guess what? Patrick Mahomes is picking up right where he left off. He had 4 touchdowns last week. He now has 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. This one to Travis Kelce. They're up early, 14-0.
Thank you. And Mahomes, one of those first-round quarterbacks who sat his first year. Starting, it's his team this year, something you and I will discuss later with Baker Mayfield in waiting. We had a good discussion with Hugh Jackson of the Browns about that.
And John Dorsey, the new GM in Cleveland, who brought Baker Mayfield in, brought in Patrick Mahomes to Kansas City before he left.
On 3rd down, catch made by Rashard Higgins, and the ball comes out of bounds. See where they looked like he crossed the 1st down marker.
Should come from the outside, crossing underneath the formation. Here comes 81. Got a step. There's your thing on the release. Ball on the back shoulder. Good catch by Rashard Higgins. Just got to secure that football.
And they spotted at the 30. It is a 1st down. And Tyrod Taylor has yet to misfire 4 out of 4. Duke jumps to the carry. Wrapped up right away after he gains a couple. Well, if the Browns were looking at the Saints defense last week. They respect the New Orleans personnel. They were shocked at how they just didn't play up to standards with their one-on-one coverage against last week's opponent.
Yeah, you know, Hugh Jackson said that did not look like Dennis Allen's group when you looked at him on film. Obviously, you're going to watch him prior to that, and there's a standard that he saw by their secondary, by their cornerbacks. He did not see that style of play against Tampa Bay last week in week 1.
And those corners, Marshawn Lattimore and Ken Crawley, after a 1-yard pickup, trying to be patient with the run. Straight ahead, it's Hyde. As the first quarter winds down, that was something Todd Haley talked about. A little old school approach, control the clock, smash mouth run football, and keep Brees off the field as long as you can. Opening quarter, Browns go even with the Saints. Hope you had a beignet this morning before you tuned in the NFL on Fox. 10-1, we're tied. Darryl Johnston, Chris Myers here in the Superdome, and beginning the second quarter, Cleveland committing to the run.
Absolutely. It's the reason why you said control that clock. You're on the road, tough place to play, but for the Saints, 14 plays in that first quarter. Alvin Kamara touched the ball 9 of the 14.
And he was in the injury tent moments ago. We'll get an update on that over on the Saints sideline. On 3rd and 5 from just beyond the 35 of the Browns. Taylor is going to go down. He tried to get back to the line of scrimmage, but Sheldon Rankins gets the first sack of the Saints season.
Well, we talked about the secondary and the standard that Hugh Jackson saw there, but it was also the front for the Saints last week against Tampa Bay that was out of sync. 3-man rush right here. Everybody's got to stay sound with their principles. That's a nice job by Sheldon Rankins, understanding that Tyrod Taylor has pulled that down, shed the blocker, and get after the tackle.
Brandon Colquitt. Tommy Lee Lewis knocked down right away. There was not a fair catch for as high as that was. I was surprised. Brian Body Calhoun making the special teams play, and the Saints defense forcing the punt. Look of concern from Sean Payton. Despite starting 0-2 last year, they went out to win the division and advance into the playoffs, but September since 2015, 0-5 at home. Other than that, they're 15-5 here in the Dome during that time. Mike Gillislee the carry, and maybe to the 20-yard line. Let's check in with Laura.
The good news is Alvin Kamara is on the field. The bad news is during the last drive, he was out in the tent. Came out and athletic trainers wrapped his right wrist. That didn't seem to be bothering him, but every time a player or coach came up to talk to him, I would watch him point to his right leg, specifically around the right knee area, but was not pacing or doing any work while he was on the sidelines. Now also wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis is in the blue tent. Trainers taking a look at him as he limped over there. I'll update you on that when I get an update.
Yep. 12 carries is the most Alvin Kamara's ever had in a game. As Brees goes to Michael Thomas and a flag comes in. Terrence Mitchell over there, it's incomplete. It was a flag on pass interference that set up a field goal for the Saints.
Before the pass was thrown, illegal contact. Defense, number 39. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Matched up at the bottom of your screen right above the 20-yard line. That's okay. That's at 5 yards. There's your illegal contact at the top of that route as he makes his break.
All right, Alvin Kamara has come back in. Fresh set of downs from the 25. Most touches he's had in an NFL game. Again, it's only his second season. Was 19.
I'm going to motion you out. I'm going to motion you out that way, all right?
He's already caught the ball 4 times and run it 5.
We're ready. What's that?
Michael Thomas. And spins down. Another game break. Carissa, what's going on?
Oh, well, guess what? Patrick Mahomes, pretty good. He had 4 touchdowns last week. Chris, he has 3 in the first quarter. This one to Kareem Hunt. Chiefs up 21-0. Chris?
That deserves a wow. And on the other side of that, what's up with the Steelers?
Yeah, that deserves a big wow, because that's one of those matchups that's just weird. That whole triangle in the AFC, you know, New England, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. Usually Pittsburgh does well against Kansas City and struggles against New England, but struggling today against those Chiefs.
In Pittsburgh. Kamara on the carry. Somehow slipped through to get to the 30. It'll bring up third down. They need to get to the 35 for a first down.
Let's see what Greg Williams does here. One of those times he's known for his pressure and kind of the varied looks he has on third down. Does he get exotic with some of the stuff he throws? There is that relationship between Sean Payton and Drew Brees and defensive coordinator Greg Williams. It'll be fun to watch during the course of this game.
Mr. Modest over there, Greg Williams. Well, you sit in a meeting with him to talk about the game. You get all kinds of information.
Lady, alert! Mike 5-2, ready. Lady, set.
Delayed pressure. First down catch. Across the 45 is Michael Thomas. Boy, Brees gets it out quick.
That's one of the more frustrating things, and there's really nothing you can do about that part. Michael Thomas working outside. A little bit of soft coverage right there by Denzel Ward in that situation.
Ward covered Thomas as a freshman when they were both back at Columbus. Ohio State Buckeyes very familiar with each other.
Ready. Yellow 80. Ready. Blue 80, what's that?
Gillislee, ankle tackle slipped and brought down around midfield. He only had 3 carries in the opener. It was a late pickup by this team. Signed former Patriot, Buffalo Bill, and Miami Dolphin as Tommy Lee Lewis is headed to the locker room. The return specialist and one of only 5 receivers who are up active for Sean Payton today. Gillislee remains the back.
5-3. Ready. Blue 80. What's that?
Brees. Plenty of time. Wide open is Ginn. Underthrown. Demarius Randall back there, but Ginn had a few yards until that ball floated and hung in the air.
Yeah, that one needed to come out just a little bit quicker. Watch it right here at the top. Watch the move right here, the little lean. He turns him all the way around. The ball needed to come out right there. And unfortunately, had to hold it a little bit longer.
Just an interesting number, too, as outstanding the Hall of Fame career of Drew Brees. The team that he has the lowest career passer rating against, any NFL team, it's the Browns. Just over 73. Not that he plays them very often, but he missed on that one. 3rd and 6. Ball is out. It was caught and dropped. And it's a Cleveland takeaway. It's another fumble by the Saints. Ted Ginn had it as the catch. It seemed awfully quick, but just kind of casually came out of his hands. And Payton's upset about that because the Browns recovered it. It'll be reviewed. We'll see if it's confirmed. On the field, it's fumble Saints. Browns recovery. Sean Payton frustrated with his team fumbling the football. A game and a half. Terrence Mitchell caused the fumble, and again it was Demarius Randall with the recovery. Carlos Hyde from the 46 of New Orleans. That's where they took over on the Michael Thomas fumble in the opening quarter.
These are frustrating because they're possessions, and there's some good leadership right there. You got Drew Brees. Remember, Michael Thomas had the first one. Now it's Ted Ginn with the second one. But these are opportunities for points, and nobody prizes possessions more than Sean Payton. I think that's one of the big reasons he's frustrated, because every time you turn that ball over, you're losing a possession for your offense and giving an extra one to your opponent.
8 takeaways already for the Browns defense this year. 2nd and 7. See how they can capitalize. Pass underneath. And short of the first down. Darren Fells, the backup tight end, to David Njoku.
And this is a huge snap right here. I mean, we talk about turnovers. They had 6 last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was a +5 turnover ratio. And you go back through history, there was 137 times that you've been +5 in turnovers. Only 5 times has the team not won that game. 3 of those 5 times, it's been the Cleveland Browns. They have got to turn these takeaways into points. This is a huge snap right here for this offense.
They only need a yard. Tyrod Taylor floats one. over the head of his tight end, Njoku. A strange call on 3rd and 1.
Well, you go with a little bit of play action, hoping you're going to trick the defense and catch him, but this Saints defense was not fooled.
And
I think
like
great pressure up the field.
They're going to go for it.
I like this call.
Yeah, I think maybe they had that in mind on the gamble on 3rd and 1. You've got Taylor who can run with the football. Hugh Jackson in a tie game here. Could just try to draw him off.
They're trying to get that clock bumped back up. They got it.
It'd be a 55-yard field goal if they had gone that route. Duke Johnson, I don't think he got it. He bounced off his own lineman, and Ken Crowley from his corner spot hit him. And on the first gamble of this game, the Saints defense comes through and stops the Browns on 4th and a yard. Saints take over on offense. We are tied at 3 in New Orleans.
Today's game is sponsored by IBM. Let's put smart to work. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Hugh Jackson gambling on 4th down with Daryl Johnston. Chris Myers going to talk about Todd Haley and the calls on 3rd and 4th. That turned it over as the Saints defense dug in. Mike Gillislee with a hole. And at a tipping point in this game, here comes a flag as he gets up near a 1st down and near midfield. We'll check the penalty with Ron Torbert.
Demarius Randall is down.
His 2 fumble recoveries have been big today. He came in with a head and neck injury.
Holding. Offense, number 13. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay 1st down.
Saints will be backed up, but Randall the concern at the moment. As they check on him, this message from State Farm and Pizza Hut. A good sign to see Randall at least up and able to walk. Take a look at the play. 23 Cleveland. Into his own man, it looked like.
Well, I think it was that initial contact on Gillislee. He was the guy that made the tackle. So whether it's shoulder, collarbone, we'll have to wait and find out.
Backed up at the 32-yard line after another holding call. Brian Body Calhoun in his 3rd season, number 20, in for Randall. Breeze. Michael Thomas with a 1st down, and he's running with the football down to the 43 of Cleveland.
Working the outside. Last week we saw him do a lot of damage from the slot. This week he's been working primarily outside. Really nice job with that route, getting the hips turned of Terrence Mitchell.
In his 3rd season from Ohio State, coming off a Saints record 16-catch game, a gain of 25.
Alert! Ready! Waiting!
Blitz. Kamara. He sidesteps a tackle. 1st down inside the 30 of Cleveland.
I don't know if there's anybody in the NFL right now better than him in space. I would not want to be a defender in an open field tackle on Alvin Kamara. I've just seen too many defenders not make that tackle so far this season, just in the first couple of weeks.
And what a shift on going for it, the 4th down. You didn't mind the Browns going for it, but the way that they did it.
Yeah, we don't want to get too far away from that. I like the aggressive play calling right there. The 3rd down call was the one that I'm concerned about. If you're going to go for it on 4th, you should know that on your 3rd down play call.
As Gillislee carries. Let's get a game break and check it again with Carissa.
Thanks, Chris. The Panthers-Falcons all tied up at 3 when Cam Newton finds Jarius Wright for this 5-yard touchdown. Panthers up 10-3. Chris?
Thank you, Carissa. Also in that NFC South, I know Saints fans interested in the Buccaneers, who are leading the Eagles 7-0. Going back to that 4th down, you've got a quarterback with Cleveland and Tyrod Taylor who runs well. You need a yard. Why not run him out on an option?
Yeah, you always get second. You always going to get second guess.
Well, that's when
that doesn't work. And I think that's the one thing he took from Super Bowl is you need to be aggressive with your play calling.
As Kamara has another catch. And an early momentum shift after that Saints stop on defense. The offense is rolling.
And that's the big thing. When you gamble on 4th down, if you don't convert, you do get that big momentum shift. And now all of a sudden you've got this guy back on the field with an opportunity to get the football in his hands.
As a rookie, led the NFL with over 6 yards a rush, led rookies with 81 catches. He went on to the Pro Bowl and the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, Alvin Kamara. And so far in this game, 6 catches and 6 rushes.
Ready. Yellow. Yellow lady. Yellow lady. Liz. Ready. You ready? Set.
Breeze on 1st down. Catch made and going out of bounds is Zach Line, the fullback.
And one of the guys we got to pay off right now is Teron Armstead. I mean, Myles Garrett was just a beast last week against the Steelers, and everybody in the New Orleans Saints that we talked to talked about him as being one of those guys you have to game plan for. He's good enough coming off the edge that you have to do certain things with your play calling, not to put your tackle in a bad position. I don't think it matters right now. People talk about Teron Armstead being the best offensive lineman in this group and one of the best tackles in the NFL. He's shown that today against an up-and-coming premier pass rusher.
Randall back in the Cleveland secondary. Jonathan Williams tackled and shoved backward from the 15-yard line. Drew Brees in this game, over 120 passing yards, and now in his career, and we showed you where he ranks among the greatest in the game. Over 71,000 passing yards. And Brett Favre next on his list. Remember, he signed a 2-year contract prior to this season at age 39.
Now, when he retires, he'll have them all. He'll have all the big ones.
And he'll be proud of that.
A testament to perseverance and preparation. Great career.
22 pain. 52. Get out there. Shell cross. 5-0.
He controls everything on the offensive side.
Calls the protection on 3rd down. He's in trouble and is sacked. Larry Ogunjobi with the sack.
Coming from the inside. And this is one of the guys that they talked about with Myles Garrett on the outside, but Greg Williams wanted to talk about Larry Ogunjobi on the inside.
First sack of the game for the Browns. Loss of 11, 44-yard field goal try, and Lutz is going to miss this to the left. A drive that stalls after the defense forced Cleveland on downs. The Saints miss a field goal, and we're still tied. Week 1, it was the Saints defense out of sync. It looks like the offense and special teams suffering from that today against the Browns, who take over after the missed field goal of 44 yards. Taylor completes. Aaron Fells near a 1st down. New Nebraska head coach Scott Frost takes the Cornhuskers into the Big House to take on Michigan. It's a Big Ten showdown, 11:30 Eastern on FS1. You can always see it on the Fox Sports app. Pickup of 9, so Taylor is 5 out of 6. 33 yards so far. On 2nd and short, wide open is Jarvis Landry. And Landry gets inside the Saints' 45-yard line.
Well, that's a good play call right there by Todd Haley into this blitz that the Saints had called up. You're actually going to have a cornerback on a blitz coming this way. And watch, they're able to have the wide receiver open right there. Now, we saw them be aggressive on that 4th down play call. I'd like to see them get a little bit more aggressive. They've got some rhythm here on this drive. Continue to press this down the field. That's why Tampa Bay was successful winning last week. They were a very aggressive team throughout the game.
Pick up of 14 yards. Landry in motion. To the left, top of your screen. Taylor, middle of the field is Landry. And now he goes down the sideline. The former LSU star from Letcher, Louisiana, played some high school football games in his day in the Superdome.
You're allowing him to throw the ball down the field a little bit, which we really haven't seen. It's been checkdowns most of the game up until this point, but this drive, this rhythm is going. Now they're starting to stretch it down the field a little bit.
Taylor has not himself kept the football and run with it yet. Pickup of 22 yards. Quick pass said, tackled right away is Rashard Higgins. Ball comes out at the end, but blown dead as Marshawn Lattimore sprung through there. Made sure he didn't get anything going.
I think it was David Njoku who's outside. He's got to get a block out there.
Saints, looks like the Saints defense using a timeout here and thinking about the end of the first half with the 2-minute warning. There's Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator.
You got 2nd and 13 right here. You make a stop, force a field goal attempt. You still got the 2-minute. You'll have 2 timeouts for your offensive possession when you get the ball back.
And Saints will receive in the second half. There's Todd Haley, who's working well with Tyrod Taylor and spoke highly of Baker Mayfield in waiting. Browns fans will tell you it hasn't been 1 year of hard knocks. It's been one right after the other. At least it feels like. But a tie is encouraging. Maybe not for other franchises.
I don't think it's encouraging for the Cleveland Browns franchise either. I don't think the fans want it. I don't think the players wanted it.
Better than a loss. That's high. And they're tied right now. Carries forward. Another timeout for the Saints, so they'll have 1 remaining with that 2-minute warning. Check in for another game break with Carissa Thompson. Carissa?
Thanks, Chris. So Falcons trailing 10-3, and a lot has been made of the Falcons' red zone issues. Not so much here. Matt Ryan finds Calvin Ridley for this 11-yard score. All tied up at 10. Chris?
Devontae Freeman injured. Couple of starters on defense for Atlanta out in that game. A battle in the NFC South. And here, Cleveland, and what you'd expect in any game you come to New Orleans, you expect a lot of points for both teams.
Much different than what we had last week against Tampa Bay. It was hard to keep pace with the offense that was going on in the first half last week.
Saints have actually held the ball more than the Browns in terms of time of possession. Missed field goal. Browns failed on a 4th and short. Here it's 3rd and 10. Taylor underneath to this tight end. He's thrown down right away. It's David Njoku, and it's 4th down. That was not an imaginary tackle. Trying a field goal. This will be about 39 yards. Zane Gonzalez will trot out at the 2-minute warning. Tied with the Browns and Saints. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, all the highlights. The Eagles have tied the Buccaneers. Mahomes and the Chiefs off to a fast start in Kansas City. And the Falcons and Panthers are tied, just like we're tied here. Zane Gonzalez, who made from 39, will try another 39-yarder to give the Browns the lead. Will Lutz missed. Gonzalez delivers. Well, this is a shocker. I have to say, the Saints defense, we knew they'd come out and play well. The Browns haven't won on the road since 2015. We know their story, but they have gone toe-to-toe with the team that prior to this season, Darryl, was talked about as a Super Bowl contender.
And last week, it was the defense that stumbled a little bit. Today, it's the offense and special teams. You mentioned the missed field goal by Will Lutz, but really, to me, the offense has been the issue today. Again, 2 more turnovers here in the first half, and those are possessions. Opportunities for Drew Brees and his group to score points. You forfeit that and give it to Cleveland. The other thing is Drew Brees himself. He misses Ben Watson for a touchdown, an easy throw there when he's wide open. And then the throw to Michael Thomas on the deep ball that he missed, underthrew it a little bit. So right now this offense a little bit out of sync, but Cleveland, opportunities for them to take advantage during the first half here. I think that last drive was their best one by far during the course of this first half, but I'd like to see them be a little bit more aggressive. I know they're getting to know each other, and this is an offense that's just starting to grow, but I think you take some things away from that last drive that you did well, and you want to see those again in the second half.
2 fumbles, 2 takeaways by this Cleveland defense has contributed. Taysom Hill, and it'll be a touchback. Saints out to the 25-yard line. Thursday night football. You'll see the Browns take on Sam Darnold and the Jets. That's exclusively on NFL Network starting week 4. Fox, your place. The new network home for Thursday night football with Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Joe Buck. You'll see the Vikings and the Rams week 4, and then follow Fox throughout on Thursday night football just like you do on Sundays. Sean Payton trying to avoid 0-2 for a 5th straight season. The difference maybe the last few is he's had 2 home games to start the year. 1 timeout. Pass complete for New Orleans. The Browns have all 3. And Cleveland thinking if we can pin them in here with our 3 timeouts, although they're not using them yet, maybe we can add to the lead. Saints will get the football to start the second half. Loss of 2.
53. Ready.
Blitz is picked up. Breeze catch across the 27. Benjamin Watson. It'll bring up 3rd down.
I'm very confident in their ability to cover man-to-man. The linebackers versus tight ends, they're secondary guys against this wide receiver group of the Saints. They're bringing pressure and getting into man-to-man situations.
11 catches combined for Kamara and Thomas. Otherwise, a handful of others with 1 grab each.
Hey, Casino. Ready. You ready?
Blitz again. Breeze on the run. And Hicks to get rid of it. It's 4th down.
I don't know what the change was there, but you can see, I mean, Myles Garrett is in a stand-up. Jabril Peppers is right up against the line of scrimmage. Here they come, both of them unblocked. I mean, two free blitzers right to Drew Brees. I don't know if you should see Casino again the rest of the afternoon.
We heard Casino. It was unlucky for the Saints. Browns with 3 timeouts, a chance to add to a 3-point lead. Peppers is back, 48 seconds remaining in the half. Morstead, his first punt of this half. Saints have turned it over and missed field goals. Peppers, no fair catch. Here comes a flag, and he goes down right away. Penalty flag inside the 15 of Cleveland. Discussing a possible block in the back.
Easy call right here for the officials, right at the point of the catch.
During the kick, illegal block in the back. Number 20 of the return team. That penalty is half the distance from the end of the kick. Cleveland's ball, 1st down.
Families affected by Hurricane Florence urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those families in need. You can donate today by going to redcross.org or text Florence to 90999. 90999. Give $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Relief. The NFL thanks you for your support. After a 56-yard punt on the penalty, the Browns hand it off to Carlos Hyde. And the clock runs. Last week, and timeout called by the Saints, their last, with 33 seconds remaining. Last week, 55 points in the Saints game. Of course, it was Tampa Bay leading 31-24 at the half. 55 total points today. That's what we have.
That's the amazing thing about this league, how it can shift from week to week and just the dynamics of the game. And you know, Sean Payton said it got to be one-dimensional. You're talking about 55 points in one half. Not a lot of rushing going on in that game, but tell you, this is completely different. And, you know, Cleveland has controlled the flow and the pace of this game here in the first half, running the football a little bit conservative. We'll see what they do in the second half from an offensive standpoint.
Steelers coming back a bit. Second touchdown against Kansas City. Bengals look good on, talk about the AFC South. And Cincinnati Bengals look good on Thursday night against the Ravens. As Hyde carries. Cleveland will be content with an improving young defense, keeping the Saints to 3 points in the first half of this game. Saints will make some adjustments, I'm sure, with a little bit more time. And Drew Brees knows there's a few, as you pointed out, that got away. The long pass to Ted Ginn, underthrown. The overthrow on Ben Watson in the end zone. But Hugh Jackson with a 6-3 advantage as we hit halftime. Let's take a look at the play of the first half. Brought to you by Swiffer and the Browns defense. Both fumbles caused by Terrence Mitchell and recovered by Demarius Randall, keeping the Saints from producing and setting up the Cleveland Browns to their halftime lead. It's a jungle out there. Let's head to Los Angeles for the Visa Halftime Report. Time for today's Game Flow, brought to you by Progressive. The Cleveland Browns have come into New Orleans, and their defense outstanding with a couple of takeaways and holding a high-scoring Saints offense to just 3 points as we look at the first half statistics.
I think that's the biggest point of that first half. Again, for the second week in a row, Cleveland taking the ball away but not being able to convert those into points. So they need to fix that second part of that equation.
Taysom Hill back to receive. And it'll be another touchback. Saints offense will take over. Well, you know, you got Drew Brees, you're usually going to get points. So obviously they don't have to get too aggressive here. It's only a 3-point game, but I expect Brees to do what he does best, move that offense downfield.
Exactly. Efficiency. That was the one thing that was missing from the Saints in the first half. The turnovers were huge. You lose your possession. But again, Ben Watson in the end zone open. He missed him there. And you had 10 get down the middle. It's a tough throw, but we would have liked to have seen that a little bit closer, give him an opportunity to go up and compete for that ball.
And Kamara, you'll still go to him at every opportunity.
Yeah, again, you know, watching those snaps, monitoring those snaps, but in games like this, you've got to go to your playmakers. And getting him in space and forcing Cleveland to try and tackle him is key.
6 rushes, 6 catches for Kamara as Brees comes out throwing. And just short of the first down is Ted Ginn at the 28. Laura?
Talking offense with Sean Payton, he just shook his head and said, holy cow, super sloppy. He said, all the mistakes you all can see with the naked eye, and there's so many mistakes you can't see. We just got to come out here and clean it up. Otherwise, every play is a 50-50 proposition. Jackson, meanwhile, talked about mixing up their looks. That's what's keeping them off balance.
Ready.
Thank you. A missed field goal by Will Lutz of 44 yards. Otherwise, we would be tied. Short of the first down is Mike Gillislee. And on the other side, Hugh Jackson, they've been safe and conservative, but they did go on fourth down when they had an opportunity. So the Browns aggressive, but this defense very, very impressive as we have an injured member of the Saints slow to get up at the 32-yard line. And it's Andrus Peat, the left guard. Check on him as we continue here in the third quarter.
This game is sponsored by the Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Andrus Peat, the left guard, circled right there on the screen. You're going to see as this play continues, you're going to have a player fall onto that leg. Trevon Coley right on that foot right there. The trainer's on the sideline taking a look, putting him up on the table.
Ready. Blue 80.
Josh Rebus is in at left
Ready.
guard.
Blue 90.
Gillislee, the back.
Hey, Jim. Ready. Blue 80. What's that?
3rd and a yard. Hard to see, but it looked like he didn't get up to the 35-yard line, which is where Gillislee had to go for the first down.
Here come some of the Boo Birds out here, and this is surprising. This is an offensive line that is very underrated, in my opinion, around the NFL. The only offensive line that was in the top 5 running and pass protection last year, and just no movement here. Great job by the Cleveland defensive line and linebackers and secondary guys filling those gaps.
Thomas Morstead. Jabril Peppers fair catch waved for at the 20 of Cleveland. Let's check in for a game break with Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Chris. The Steelers down 21-0. Ben Roethlisberger throws his 3rd touchdown pass of the day. This one to rookie wide receiver James Washington from 14 yards out. connected on the 2-point conversion, all tied up at half. Chris?
All right, thank you. So when I asked you what's up with the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger is up with the Steelers as they bounce back, and we check the offensive leaders of the Cleveland Browns. Carlos Hyde in the backfield. He gets the football and a chunk of yardage up to the 24-yard line.
We talked to Tyrod Taylor in what he saw last week with Tampa Bay, and one of the things that he pointed out was how physical they were with their running game, and we've seen that here today. This offensive line, a lot of new guys changing. I think some people surprised last week Desmond Harrison getting that start out at left tackle, and Joel Bitonio getting kicked back in, Austin Corbett out of the lineup, but this is the group they're going to move forward with it. They've been playing well here this afternoon.
So a lot of talent draft-wise on that Saints defensive line, and against a Cleveland offense, Taylor looked like he wanted a flag, and here comes a flag. Antonio Callaway was the target for the Browns, and a second flag on a push. They're pointing to the Saints defense against
pass interference. Defense number 23. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
So watch at the point where Antonio Callaway breaks inside. You're going to little hook and pull by Marshawn Lattimore. You see that hand. That hand can be on that hip, but you can't turn that receiver. He turned him a little bit.
Callaway started in place of Josh Gordon, who the team has moved on from, planning to release him on Monday unless a trade can be worked out. Did not make the trip. Inactive for the Browns. Hyde. General Manager John Dorsey being very specific in the statement released.
And I think the most important part right there, the past 6 years, the Browns have fully supported and invested in Josh, and that is true. They've given him a number of opportunities to work his way through this, but at some point you have to move on. And Laura reported at the top that everybody that she talked to pregame, the players on this team, felt it was the right decision for the organization to move forward. They wish him the best, which is the most important thing, but they have things that they have to accomplish this season as well.
Handoff again to Carlos Hyde, and for Tyrod Taylor, they want to create a more positive environment, and they gave plenty of opportunities. What was interesting was that he had played last week, actually had a touchdown catch in the opener against the Steelers, practiced much of the week, and when we met with Tyrod Taylor last night, he was unaware that the Josh Gordon situation had developed to such. An important 3rd and 6. Duke Johnson, the running back, as a receiver, very good receiver as a running back. Top of your screen, empty backfield. Tyrod Taylor is going to keep his first run of the game, and it's going to be good enough for a first down. He had an opportunity to slide, but he was looking for more.
Yeah, it's all about decisions from the quarterback position, and here's one that he didn't make the right way for himself. Watch, he's got it. I agree with you, Chris. Just get down right there. You've got the first down. You turn back. Here comes Marcus Davenport. Actually, Alex Okafor.
A pickup of 8 on an important 3rd down conversion. Spotted at the 47 of the Saints. Carlos Hyde gets outside. Make that Nick Chubb, excuse me. The rookie from Georgia, the 3rd back behind Hyde and Duke Johnson.
I like the addition of Nick Chubb into this offense. I was impressed with him last year in college. Similar in build to Carlos Hyde, but he has some pass catching ability as well.
His cousin Bradley Chubb, the 5th overall pick in the draft for the Denver Broncos. Former Georgia Bulldog stays in at running back after a 6-yard pickup. 40-yard line of the Saints.
Yeah.
Taylor off the hands of Callaway.
It's so difficult in today's NFL when you go through change and transition, and look at the numbers that the Browns are dealing with, along with the Raiders, the most new guys on that roster, and a lot of those guys on the offensive side of the ball. There is going to be some bumps in the road. It's going to be hard moving forward to kind of blend that chemistry, to build that sense of unity with this team. So there are going to be some struggles during the first part of the season, but Hugh Jackson very happy with the direction they're moving in. The offensive line, he likes the guys there. Some of the question marks after week 1, he's fine with that.
Second down, that's Callaway. And Callaway inside the 25 of New Orleans, slipping through the arms of Lattimore. And a big gainer on 2nd and 6.
Yeah, this is like coming from the outside. Watch, you're going to have your 2 guys inside, press downfield, get everything cleared out, and then just tuck him underneath. It prevents Marshawn Lattimore from being able to get down there and get into coverage. And then really nice after the catch by Antonio Callaway.
An 18-yard catch and carry. It's at the 22 of the Saints, and a first down as Hyde is back in at running back. 11 out of 13 for Tyrod Taylor, and he had the big first down run and 7 different receivers. And that one is a little high for Jarvis Landry. Marcus Williams coming over from his safety spot.
The inside guy right here. This is going to be one of those things where it looks like screen. You're going to come out like you're going to block, and then you bypass down the field. Nice job by Marcus Williams recognizing that and being able to close and cover that area.
Cleveland didn't have a touchdown in the first half last week, but then they had 3 in the second half. Middle of the field complete. It'll bring up a third down. That's Landry with the catch. From Metairie, Louisiana, the former LSU Tiger and the go-to guy on this Cleveland Brown offense. It'll be 3rd and 5 from the 17 of New Orleans. For the end zone, knocked away. Here comes a flag. Duke Johnson was the target, and Patrick Robinson was running with him.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
Robinson does not agree, Daryl.
No, we'll take a look at it right here. There's Duke Johnson in the slot, working against Patrick Robinson. We'll see what happens right as the ball arrives. He's got his back turned. There he gets his head around. A little bit of contact right there. Kind of got that arm bar, right? You can see that arm come up, push away. Correct call by the officials.
From the 1-yard line. Taylor has it and knocked out of bounds. Saints defense was ready for that.
Yeah, that was a really nice job, because that was a similar play to what the Saints had with Ben Watson earlier, where it's that hard play action, trying to sneak that tight end out. So good coverage initially, trying to work this right here. There's your block, and then the release is coming out. That's a great job. Both of those tight ends covered well. Tyrod Taylor nowhere to go with the football.
Cam Jordan chasing Taylor to the sideline to make sure that he couldn't turn the corner. Loss of a yard on 2nd and goal. Carlos Hyde, and he is stuffed. It'll bring up a 3rd and goal. Well, let's think ahead now as Dennis Allen matches his defense against what Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson are doing. Do you think they're thinking 4-down territory here in a 6-3 game?
One of the things that the guys shared with us is this is a win-now mentality. Right now, there is no more patience looking for that first win. So I would say yes. I would say why not? You know, you prepare yourself with a good play call here. If you don't get it, you want to go right away on 4th down.
toward the end zone. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. Toward the pylon, it was close. The official shot his arms up as Hyde hit the end zone.
Yes, he is inside, breaks the plane. Ball comes out after he's already broken the plane. That's a touchdown. Feet are inbounds when he leaves. Great stretch by Carlos Hyde for the pylon.
"12 plays, 79 yards. And on a third down run,
Manti Te'o had read that well from the inside linebacker position, had a straight shot, but just that ability of Carlos Hyde to beat him to the corner, and then great job getting it into the end zone.
confirmed touchdown for Carlos Hyde, and the extra point by Gonzalez. He missed it. A weird looking kick from Gonzalez, and what could have been a 10-point lead. It's only 12-3, but Hyde finds the end zone for the Browns. Carlos Hyde's second touchdown this season for Zane Gonzalez, his second career point after touchdown miss. 28 of 30 extra points. That's why it's 12-3 as Drew Brees anxious. Over 6.5 minutes here in the third to get going.
Concerning for Dennis Allen. You saw that 7 pass plays, 5 rushes. That's balance. That's the one thing he didn't want to allow Cleveland to become. They've got to be able to shut down that run, force him into a pass game.
And Hill is bringing it out. The backup quarterback can fly, and he does out to the 40-yard line.
How good is this guy?
He was clocked in the 40 at 4.42, one of the fastest quarterbacks ever in the combine.
Yeah, I mean, he's deep in the end zone, and he's drifting backwards. He didn't even time it up. Great job by his guys up front, though. And it's just a tremendous job of what they did from a blocking standpoint.
47-yard return. He had so many deep kicks in the end zone. He had no choice but to down the previous kicks.
Now Mike Westhoff, one of the best special teams coaches in the history of this game here in New Orleans. Great design on that return.
From the 40, Brees. Catch made at the 45. Michael Thomas with the catch. Saints trying to overcome earlier miscues, couple of lost fumbles, missed field goal.
Yeah, finally something positive. It's just been very, very unlikely. The Saints offense, this one was very surprising with Ben Watson as wide open as that, and then you get all the way down the field. You got an opportunity for points, and you missed that field goal. So very frustrating afternoon the first half there for Sean Payton.
Ted Ginn looking
under, Mike 5-3. Ready? We ready? What's that?
Pressure coming. Brees. First down. Michael Thomas at midfield. Shorter passes. Getting the Saints inside the 50 at the 49 of Cleveland.
Looked like they were going to do a little bit of tempo right there, but just changed their personnel.
And Kamara comes back in. Who else steps up other than Michael Thomas with 7 catches and Kamara with 6 and also 6 runs.
Ready? Ready? What's that?
On first down, blitz, one-on-one coverage, juggling, and he held on at the 45. That's Michael Thomas again. You know, he does hand yoga. It's something that he's worked on to help grip the football. I know he's had a little bit of a fumbling issue, but in the past he's talked about that. Something that helps him haul in the pass. A tip he received from his uncle, Keyshawn Johnson, the former NFL receiver. Second down, 6.
Jam. Ready? You ready? What's that?
Brees with a screen. Josh Hill, the tight end, fights to get to the 40. Be about a yard short of a first down. So the Saints are going a little shorter with the passing game.
Yeah, and I like that play design right there because you had Alvin Kamara involved in the screen to the left, and gosh, I mean, 3 Brown defenders running to that part of the field to try and defend him, and then you go opposite to Josh Hill on the right side.
And Tommy Lee Lewis, as Laura Oakman reported, in the first half injured, went to the locker room. Their return specialist and also backup receiver not available for the Saints at the moment as Kamara remains in. A 3rd and 1. Time for Breeze, and he's sacked at the 49. Second sack. Larry Ogunjobi getting it done for the Browns defense.
Again, that looks like it could have been a coverage sack, and this is one of the things that Myles Garrett talked about. There is a little bit more time to get home in your pass rush. Michael Thomas right there. Here's the left side working that. You can see that's good distribution throughout, closing down some windows. So you look at Drew Brees. He wants to go left. By the time he wants to come back to Michael Thomas, protection breaks down.
It's an area Greg Williams said the secondary was the worst part of this defense, and they had to upgrade it. And Cleveland has. Peppers, fair catch. Browns take over on offense, holding a 12-3 lead here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
This game is sponsored by Burger King. Mix or match 2 of our favorite sandwiches served with 2 fries and 2 drinks for just $10. And by the new super powerful Samsung Galaxy Note 9.
The Browns defense continues to impress, and Tyrod Taylor at the controls in his 8th season, his first year in Cleveland, with Carlos Hyde, the running back, taking over inside their own 20. Taylor keeps his second run of the day, wisely sliding, and that's the element that he brings. Very efficient passing, 12 of 15. He has not turned it over and has run the ball. He was traded to Cleveland back in March after 3 seasons with Buffalo. Remember, his career started in Baltimore. 4 seasons with the Ravens, but didn't have any starts for Baltimore.
And that's one of the big things about Tyrod Taylor's game is that he does not turn the ball over, and sometimes people criticize him about being a little too conservative in the passing game. But you know, after this play, we'll talk about something that motivates him now, and I really like the shift.
Middle of the field and open. Rashard Higgins for a first down up at the 40. Taylor has thrown the ball well down the middle of the field.
And again, off the play action, you know, you get the play action, you get the linebackers to move up. It opens up that little window right there. Look at all the linebackers pushed up. That's a nice area for Rashard Higgins to work. But you know, talk to Tyrod Taylor, and I reference Blake Bortles, who gets criticized a lot. And sometimes Tyrod is questioned more than criticized. And he says, you know, my dad told me just focus on what you've accomplished.
Protected in the pocket, and a completion across the 45-yard line to David Njoku. Let's get another game break with Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Chris. So the Chiefs and Steelers were all tied up at 21 when Patrick Mahomes throws his 4th touchdown of the day, connecting with Travis Kelce for the 2nd time today. Back-to-back games for him with 4 touchdowns. KC leads 28-21.
All right, thank you, Carissa.
Yeah, just to wrap that up, his dad wanted him to look at that year that he came out at quarterback. There were 10 quarterbacks taken ahead of him in that draft class. Cam Newton and Andy Dalton still starters. Blaine Gabbert's still in the league, but everybody else is out of the league. So take pride in what you've made your career.
Carlos Hyde gets down inside the 45, and I like that he said, don't let what other people say define you. Obviously, his father being very positive in supporting him, and he's been a perfect teammate for the situation with Baker Mayfield here in Cleveland. Laura.
And he doesn't have to be. Everyone's quick to say that, Chris. But remember, Tyrod had Joe Flacco in Baltimore, and Tyrod said that was tough because they were both so quiet, even though Joe was great to him. So with Baker, he said, the key is to be myself, but see outside of myself, to give him what he needs, because I was that guy and needed it too.
Hugh Jackson was in Baltimore back then. He was also in Cincinnati when they sacked Carson Palmer as Chubb gets outside and goes down the sideline. So the old debate about you draft a quarterback number 1 or overall, do you sit him or do you throw him out there and play him and let him observe? Well, with Tyrod Taylor is doing an efficient job, Baker Mayfield in a quarterback room that the coaching staff loves with Tyrod Taylor and Drew Stanton, who's inactive. You wait till he's comfortable, until the team is ready. Hugh Jackson was very interesting when he said, I think the Browns have to be ready, this team, for Baker Mayfield. Meanwhile, 2nd and 2 as they're moving closer in field goal range. Duke Johnson slips a tackle and goes down the sideline as the 3rd quarter has just a few seconds remaining, and Saints fans are getting angry. That's a first down, and an efficient first down on a throw from Taylor to Duke Johnson. End of the first quarter. The Browns trying to win their second game in their last 35. On the road, have the lead and the ball in New Orleans. Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, along with our producer Fran Morrison, director Brian Lilly, and the visiting Browns working their game plan to perfection. The defense has kept the Saints out of the end zone. Carlos Hyde, the only touchdown in this game. Taylor to Rashard Higgins. Gets down to the 26 of New Orleans.
Just done a real nice job this afternoon managing the down and distance. The Cleveland Browns offense giving them opportunities to get into third down, continue this flow. I really was impressed. There was that one drive late in the second quarter where a little bit more aggressive. The middle of the field, as you pointed out, Tyrod Taylor throwing the ball well into the middle of the field. And Sean Payton, since that time, has watched this offense of the Cleveland Browns really kind of take over this game and start to control that clock.
Taylor to throw. And overthrows Higgins. You saw that graphic we can't impress upon enough that the Saints are trying to avoid going 0-2 to start a season for the 5th straight year. And what you didn't see coming here was that the Saints had back-to-back home games to open this season against the Bucs and the Browns. And right now, they're going to have to rally if they want to change the narrative.
Well, you mentioned even a little bit of Super Bowl talk here around New Orleans coming into the start of this season. And you look at the start of that schedule, Tampa Bay, Cleveland. I don't think anybody anticipated 0-1 and the potential to be 0-2 looking at that start.
Saints defense, and they're all black unis on a third down. They drop back, coverage. Ball dropped by Higgins, and it's fourth down. That falls in the mental error category. And the Cleveland coaching staff said, hey, last week we had 28 of those. You should only have 10 in a game. They've been pretty good about that in this game. Yeah,
and you might criticize for throwing underneath, but you've got to make the catch, and then let's see what happens. Can you break a tackle and get the first down? Sometimes you don't have to throw the ball beyond the first down marker to make a first down, but you got to catch it.
Gonzalez missed an extra point. He's made 2 of his field goals from 39. This is 44 yards away. And no good. Gonzalez is still trying to recover from the disappointment in that tie with the Steelers. Misses again. Let's see how the Saints respond. That's how Hugh Jackson responded.
This game is sponsored by Domino's. Order online and track your order.
Zane Gonzalez misses wide left from 44 yards away. Good field position for the Saints.
What's up?
On first down, Kamara's loose. Fighting to get across midfield. It's a first down at the 48 of Cleveland. Best run of the day from the Saints.
Let's just see if this offense can kind of feed into what their defense has been able to hold down, and then some of the gifts that the Cleveland Browns have been giving them.
A gain of 18 yards. Saints trailing by 9.
Hey, Eagle. Ready. You waiting? What's up?
At the 41, it's Benjamin Watson. You know, the coaching story within the game, and they both said, hey, we had good years together. Forget the whole bounty situation, but Sean Payton, the offensive mind, Greg Williams, his former defensive coordinator when the Saints went out to the Super Bowl and had some great years. They know each other well, but some of the Browns players said, oh, Greg wants to win this one badly. And his defense has been on it today.
Ready.
Gillislee the back. After a pickup of 7.
Jam, ready. Blue 80, what's up?
And Gillislee brought down right away. Bring up third down. Carissa with a game break.
Thanks, Chris. So Bucks up 20-7 on the defending champs when Ryan Fitzpatrick finds Mike Evans for the 4-yard touchdown. Fitzpatrick with 4 touchdown passes now in back-to-back games. Bucks up 27-7. Chris?
The 35-year-old having a rebirth of his career. So the Saints defense saying, hey, it wasn't just us. That offense at Fitzpatrick, he's got it going. Right now the Saints offense facing an important 3rd and 3 from the 41 of Cleveland. And what will Greg Williams dial up?
Ready? You ready? Set.
Breeze is sacked, and a flag comes in back at the 30. Ogunjobi with his 3rd sack of the day, if it stands. In the secondary, we'll check the flag.
Illegal contact. Defense, number 26. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Derek Kindred, the safety, called for the penalty.
Again, a point of emphasis coming into this season beyond 5 yards. You're running the wheel route. Good call by the official right there. He's beating coverage. Gets contact beyond the 5 yards as a point of emphasis coming into the season.
A new set of downs at the 36 of Cleveland.
Ready? What's up?
Kamara gliding through, and his balance inside the 25. Will check the spot. See if he picked up the first down.
Great job by the guys up front. He never has to change his path on this run. Why, this is just downhill and quick. Here's the one move, press it. Good job by his offensive line.
So he got 9. They need a yard for a first down.
Jam. Ready?
14 touches for Kamara so far. Make it 50, and he's got the first down inside the 35. And he talked about how he worked it on his knee drive during the offseason, shortening his steps and increasing his speed without sacrificing power. I know it sounds like a lot, but he said it's something he focused on, which is amazing how he looks like he's moving downfield but maintaining his balance at a high rate of speed.
And I think that's why we see him out in open space when he's kind of corralled by multiple defenders, and yet he's able to somehow wiggle his way out of that. It's those short steps and that power and that separation he has, how quickly he can accelerate.
Ready? You ready?
Low snap handled by Breeze. Thomas has it at the 18 of Cleveland.
That's a tough part, playing against Drew Brees. Just the pressure that he can put on your defense the entire game. I'm sure Cleveland, and even Greg Williams, he knows about this. He's been warning his guys about this. You played great up until this point. We've got to finish this game. You cannot let this guy have a second. He will find that rhythm. He'll get back into this flow, and he will take this game over.
Denzel Ward, who had a couple of interceptions last week in the secondary, eyeing Drew Brees on 2nd and 5.
5-0. Ready? You ready?
The field spread for Breeze. He's going to Thomas, and he's got it. It's going to be 1st and goal, Saints.
And this is the one that you just can't defend. And it's good coverage. Watch Denzel Ward on Michael Thomas. Watch how the coverage is there, and watch this back shoulder throw. It's put in a perfect spot, works the sideline well.
Working against the 4th overall pick, and for Thomas, his 10th catch today. He had 16, a franchise record last week. Kamara splits out as a receiver. Now that's him coming back to join Breeze in the backfield. Kamara has it, knocked down around the 2-yard line. He had 3 touchdowns last week.
I think that's the hard thing. You get down here into this red zone area, it is hard to score. The advantage goes to the defense, but for the Saints to be able to open up that formation and force you to kind of thin out that box area, then you've got Alvin Kamara in the backfield. It's kind of pick your poison. You've got to respect all the players that have opened up that formation, but how do you protect yourself inside against that guy running with the football?
Jam. Ready? You ready? What's that?
Michael Thomas, touchdown Saints.
All the way out here on the outside. Watch, he's going to come in motion down in kind of that little screen pass right there. Catches it moving to the inside. Good design, good blocking up front by the guys inside that 1 yard buffer.
Working against Terrence Mitchell. And now the extra point. Will Lutz. Not as automatic as you would think. After all that, the Browns clinging to a 2-point lead. On 12 targets today, Thomas a big one there. Third-year receiver from Ohio State. He now has more career catches than any receiver in the first 33 games of their NFL career, going all the way back to 1970, and that was a big one, as coming out of the end zone, Jabril Peppers, and knocked down around the 24-25 yard line. And that touchdown shifted after a Zane Gonzalez miss.
Yeah, but not only the missed field goal that gave him good field position to start that drive, but we've had a missed extra point along with a missed field goal. So you're talking about a 16-10 game, at least 13-10, right? You're going to force the Saints to go down the field, kick a field goal to tie the game. Now the Saints can kick a field goal to win the game. If you've got all your kicks made, if you're perfect in your kicking game today, Zane Gonzalez would have put the Browns ahead 16-10 right now, forcing the Saints to go down the field and score a touchdown to win this.
Antonio Callaway's in trouble, and he's going to lose yardage at the 15. Demario Davis.
I don't understand that play call. We've talked about this offense being a little bit more aggressive, but it's been conservative. They've pressed it downfield a little bit, but why at this point in the game do you call that? Great job by the Saints recognizing it, getting out there in pursuit, creating a big negative play on 1st and 10.
And the talk last week about shifting different linebackers in and out, who would be their best group. Davis made the play there. A loss of 8. Tyrod Taylor slips out, and he's gotten the ball's out. He bounces back on it and recovers it at the 23-yard line.
I've been involved with a tough season. I was involved in a 1-15 season. And I talked to Drew Stanton. Now, Drew Stanton is on the Browns, but he was also with the Detroit Lions when they went 0-16. We got a player down on the field right now.
A member of the Saints, and we'll check on that as you see the fortunate bounce for Tyrod Taylor that he was able to get it back. Looks like Sheldon Rankins, who has a sack today, is being worked on. Hope that he's okay. Now this message from Izod.
Watch Colin Jost as he owns these advertising cliches, like a casual football game with models and the obligatory MVP cameo.
Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, just get there.
Hey, Aaron, this is actually my commercial, so do your cameo and get out of here.
Ready?
And the special effects-driven ping-pong moment with nunchucks. Advertising is getting weird, but focus groups tell us you like it that way. Izod, available at Kohl's.
I'm computer generated.
Yeah, when you're in the midst of a tough season, and the Browns are in the midst of back-to-back tough seasons, you finally feel like you lose that ability to win a game. You know, the critical plays that need to be made. And after we showed you the missed kicks and talked about, you know, what the scenarios are now, and then the Browns come out in these first 2 plays. I mean, a gadget play that loses you yardage, and then your quarterback on a scramble puts the ball on the ground, and you do. I mean, it's like you've forgotten how to win games when you get to the critical moment.
And the helmet collision with his teammate for Rankins, A.J. Klein, is who he ran into. David Onyemata comes in for him on a 3rd and 13. Tyrod Taylor overthrown. 4th down.
Just a real sloppy series right there for the Browns.
It's almost as if you could feel the Saints coming on, the crowd, the momentum shift. And look who's back to return a punt. Alvin Kamara. Britton Colquitt from the Colquitt kicking family, father, brother, relatives, a high boot. And Kamara has it at the sideline and goes out of bounds. Drew Brees will lead the offense, trailing by 2 after the Saints defense dug in the dome. That Browns sideline looking like they're the ones trailing in the game.
Yeah, you can see that look of concern. You know, the here we go again, and that's a hard thing to get out of when you've lost so long. You know, you can see the plays start to go up against you, and oh my gosh, here we go again. We're gonna let this slip through our fingers.
From the 35-yard line on first down, Brees going deep for Ginn and incomplete. So he was trying to go to somebody else other than Kamara and Michael Thomas.
Well, that's the big thing. You come in. I mean, you saw the game last week when you got ready to play the Saints this week. You saw the damage that Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara did. And, you know, okay, if we lose to the Saints, the two guys that aren't going to beat us are 41 and 13. Just everybody know where they are on the field, and let's make sure those guys don't beat us, and they haven't been able to stop them today.
Michael Thomas, 27 catches in the first 2 games of this season. That's an NFL record. Gillislee is stopped short of the 39-yard line. Denzel Ward coming up to make the play. Drew Brees in the second half of this game, 9 out of 10. And he has the touchdown flip. Under 7 minutes to play.
And just that play call on first down, taking that shot on 1st and 10, it shows you that they've got their confidence back. We can come back, we can overcome 2nd and 10 and keep this drive alive. Let's take a shot on first down.
Kamara checks back in on 3rd and 6. A throw to Ginn incomplete, a run to Gillislee.
Hey, 51 and 22, 51 and 22. Ready,
Delayed pressure, and they sack Brees at the 30. TJ Carey from his corner spot.
Now you can see in that pre-snap, I thought that Drew Brees had caught him and kind of changed the protection because these guys had kind of tipped their hand that they were coming. These are the 3 that are going to come. And you thought they had tipped their hand on that, but still you were able to get a free rusher right to Drew Brees.
And a smile from Greg Williams, the Browns defensive coordinator. Peppers back to receive the punt of Morstead. Fair catch called for inside the 25 of Cleveland. Browns leading by 2 here in the 4th quarter. On the road.
Today's game is sponsored by Microsoft Surface.
All 3 of the sacks on Drew Brees came on 3rd down, and that was a blitz. We only have 5 blitzes for the Cleveland defense today. On first down, Browns up 2. Tyrod Taylor keeps and is going to be chased down by Demario Davis.
Much better play call here on first down to start this series. One of the things you talked about, putting the ball into Tyrod Taylor's hands, whether it's run or pass. They've done such a good job of managing down and distance. That play call in that last series, very puzzling.
4th run of the day for Taylor. He told us his best runs he thinks are the unscripted ones. He was able to pick up 6. Taylor to throw, middle of the field, it's picked off! Intercepted by Marcus Williams! Williams inside the 20 of Cleveland.
They forced Tyrod Taylor to reset his feet. I thought he did a nice job of just sliding a little bit, resetting the platform, and then taking a shot down the field. So watch the pressure that gets him off the spot. I thought he did a real nice job right there. Reset it, now let it go. But he lost track of Marcus Williams, number 43, who was reading his eyes.
That's the first takeaway by the Saints this season, and it couldn't have come at a better time for New Orleans. At the 18 of Cleveland, down 2, trailing the entire game. The Saints in position to muscle their way into the lead. Breeze. Watson to the 10-yard line. Need a couple for a first down as the clock runs. Under 5 to play.
They were great last week. The defense was great last week. Where's Myles Garrett been today? It's time for him to step up. He stepped up last week. This defense has to step up and make a play here in this series.
Ogunjobi has been the pass rushing specialist with a couple of sacks.
Receiver, 74 is eligible.
Bushrod, Jermon Bushrod has come back in. Game-winning drives, nothing new to Drew Brees.
Over. 5-3. Ready. We're ready. What's that?
Kamara, with nowhere to go, fights to get back to the 10-yard line, bringing up a third down. They're going to need 2 yards. Saints know that a field goal gives them the lead. We know that Sean Payton is aggressive as Taysom Hill checks into the game. You saw him on a return. He's the third quarterback, 28-year-old from BYU.
And here's the one element of the New Orleans Saints offense that Greg Williams has no idea about. He was not there. He's seen him on tape.
Breeze.
He knows what he brings.
As a receiver, Breeze to the top of your screen. That's Kamara in motion. And we got a timeout. It threw off the Cleveland defense.
Before the ball was snapped, Cleveland called his first charge timeout of the half. 30 seconds in length.
Well, against Tampa last week, that play worked. Taysom Hill thought about it, had the option, gave it to Kamara. He got a touchdown as Breeze stood out as a wide receiver down below.
I wonder if that was like Greg Williams freezing a kicker. You know, I'm going to let this thing go all the way till right before the snap. Then I'm going to get that timeout called. It was kind of like he wanted to freeze that offense, to, you know, to kind of see exactly what they were going to try to do. So they break formation. There goes Breeze out to the top. Kamara opens formation. Now Kamara is going to cross formation. You can see the confusion with the Browns in that defensive setup.
Cleveland players were calling for timeout. There were 3 or 4 from the moment that happened. And now you wonder if does Sean Payton come back to this. At least he got the Browns to burn a timeout in a one-score game. Matching wits with a guy who was once working alongside with him here in New Orleans. And it's been that way the entire game.
Jam! Ready! We're ready! What's up?
Kamara with a first down inside the 5 of Cleveland. First and goal, Saints. Go back to basics.
You don't got to get fancy. Just turn around and hand it off to 41. Again, I just remember what Mike Smith, the defensive coordinator for Tampa, said last week. You know, he's bigger in person than you thought he was on film. He's faster when you watch him during the game than he looked on film. He's more dynamic, you know, in space when you watch him in the game than he was on film. And that's a great example of it right there. I mean, he exploded through that hole.
His 12th run of the game to go with 6 catches. And 100 scrimmage yards. Play clock running down.
Ready! You ready? What's up?
Breeze for the end zone and Thomas. He holds it in. It's going to be a Saints touchdown.
Michael Thomas on the outside. Great matchup versus Denzel Ward. 2 interceptions last week. Goes to the little fade. Jumps in underneath a little bit. Kind of loses track of that football coming in.
They're going to go for 2, and that hand yoga paid off again for Michael Thomas.
You're going to have to get into depth with it. You know, you're going to have to tell me more about the hand. I mean, are just the hands involved? Like you just stand there and you don't do anything else?
You stretch them just like you do for normal yoga. It extends the fingers, and you can
got downward palm.
Press. Yes, you're with it. You've done Pilates. It looks like Drew Brees called time as they discuss the 2-point conversion. Well, what an effort from the Cleveland Browns. Their defense dug in as long as they could, but it's just a matter of time, especially when Drew Brees is here in New Orleans, to try and keep the Saints out of the end zone. And once again, it was a reliable target. Kamara, Michael Thomas.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things that not only the Browns players and staff, but the Browns fans are tired of hearing. That was a nice effort. You hung in there. You got towards the end of the game. So
doesn't work.
This is win now. This is win now. And they've had an opportunity last week, a winnable game in the opener against Pittsburgh. They've controlled this game. They really have. But when it's Drew Brees, he's going to stress you for the 4 quarters. We had a sense that something like this was going to happen when they didn't take advantage of their opportunities. And again, when you struggle through a long losing streak, it really does feel like you just forgotten how to win a game. You can't make the plays at the critical junctures that turn the tide.
You can't miss extra points and field goals that change not only momentum but field position and opportunity for the opposition. It's a 4-point lead, still 2:40 to go, and the Browns have 2 timeouts. Saints had the 2-point conversion. Remember, against Tampa Bay, they were able to convert last week.
We go ready. AB. Jam. You ready? What's up?
Kamara for 2, and it's a slam dunk.
Again, this is just who is more dangerous. Is it Ben Watson crossing formation? Do we really think that we're going to do a shovel pass to Ben Watson, or should it be more concerned about number 41 on the quick pitch back to the right where he's leaving? Watch 82. Oh, we're going to hand it off to him. Look at the flow. Look at the linebackers flow to the right. Why would you flow to the right with 41 in the backfield?
Michael Thomas, who had to overcome an early fumble. 12 catches and a couple of touchdowns and some tight grabs. Coming off his 16-catch performance.
I mean, you saw the coverage on a lot of those. The coverage is there. I mean, this is a quarterback wide receiver who've developed a chemistry and a feel between each other. It's virtually impossible to defend him.
And the Saints defense, it turned on the Tyrod Taylor interception. I'm not throwing it all on him. I'm just thinking maybe what a Cleveland Brown fan is thinking. Why not try Baker Mayfield? What are we waiting for?
Stirring the pot. Stirring the pot.
Saints get 2 touchdowns in a 6-minute span. And the Browns need a touchdown to pull this out if they want to, with 2:40 and 2 timeouts remaining. 2 huge college football games on Fox Saturday. TCU against in-state rival Texas, followed by a Big Ten showdown between number 6 Wisconsin and Iowa next Saturday on Fox and always on the Fox Sports app.
Yeah, but remember, Hugh Jackson is a guy, if you're going to trust a guy in that process of when to play Baker Mayfield, he knows, because he's done it both ways. He's done Carson Palmer, sitting and watching and growing and learning, and he also did Joe Flacco. Put him in right now and let him learn on the fly. He was able to do that because he had that great defense in Baltimore. You've got to look at the makeup of your team and choose what's appropriate for the player at that time.
Taylor to throw, and he's got the middle of the field drop. That's not going to help the quarterback. David Njoku had a couple of drops last week, and that's no joke. Sorry, they shot there.
You couldn't help yourself. I know.
Yeah, that was automatic, you know. Browns led the entire game, and missed field goals, and Saints takeaway, and a 6-point New Orleans lead. Who's going to get their first win of the year first? Middle of the field wide open. And up near the 48 is Rashard Higgins. It's the first completion for Taylor in the last 6. Of course, he's had some drops in there as well. David Njoku has that at the 45. Well, the game plan coming in was, let's try and run the ball, slow it down. That's changed after Michael Thomas has been a difference maker for the Saints. Browns have to be aggressive, trailing by 4.
Today's game is sponsored by State Farm, here to help life go right.
Here's what's at stake. Browns trying to get a win for the first time since December of 16. The Saints try to snap that skid. Starting season's 0-2. On 2nd and 2. Taylor backs into a couple of Saints, and he's sacked at the 45. Cam Jordan and Alex Okafor.
So we talked about a little bit of lack of discipline last week, allowed Ryan Fitzpatrick to move. Here's some good discipline. Watch the two guys inside. They're going to push the pocket. The guys on the outside won't get beyond the quarterback. There's really no, they even got dropped the guy out. It's a three-man pressure. That's the biggest point. You've got a three-man pressure that gets home.
3rd and 12, middle of the field again, but the tackle eventually made. The Saints do a good job of swarming David Njoku. Taylor has had 5 game-winning drives in his career, and he's going to have to use a timeout here. Cleveland will have 1 remaining. Hugh Jackson facing a 4th down. Last win for the Browns, December 2016 against the Chargers. Crowell's 2nd touchdown put the Browns ahead. Kicking woes as Josh Lambo of the Chargers misses a possible game tire at 45 yards, and the Browns won it 20-17 and then went on to lose before tying 17 straight before tying Pittsburgh last week. They haven't had a road win since 2015. Taylor for the end zone. Catch made. Touchdown, Antonio Callaway. Oh, Tyrod Taylor airing it out.
Oh, it's a 3-man rusher. You're dropping 8 in coverage. So what do you do to beat 8 people in coverage? Just go over the top of everybody. What a phenomenal throw. Look at this. In stride. Possession, 1 foot. 2 foot.
Ruled a touchdown and to be confirmed. 47 yards on a 4th down.
Ken Crawley watching the quarterback. All of a sudden, Antonio Callaway just runs past him.
What a throw from Tyrod Taylor. Hanging in the pocket. Gonzalez. Oh, the extra point. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's not good. He missed an extra point. He missed a field goal. He missed another extra point. But the Browns have battled into a tie here thanks to the connection of Tyrod Taylor and that man, Antonio Callaway.
So here you go. You got your 3-man pressure. Look at everybody dropping in coverage. And what a tremendous throw by Tyrod Taylor in stride over the top. We talked about him being aggressive all afternoon. You're being conservative. Let the kid play. Oh.
Well, on a 4th down, the Saints, I'm just surprised they let anybody get behind him. But the speed of Callaway, who, remember, got to start in this game because the Browns have moved on from Josh Gordon. And then the kicking story for Cleveland. Always something, right? All 3 of those kicks have been wide left. And now the Saints have a chance with 2 timeouts, 1:16, and Drew Brees to win this game. And they're putting some speed with Ted Ginn back to return this kick. Man, what a game. Gonzalez does a good job there, driving that through the end zone. So Brees and the offense out to the 25-yard line.
And the field goal he missed to the left. Again, he misses this one to the left.
The hold and snap, from what you see, everything is in order.
It looks that way. And it's hard to tell from here. Is he overstriding into the kick? Is his plant foot in the wrong spot?
He was drafted in the 7th round. He set records making kicks at Arizona State the 2nd year, but that's Hugh Jackson telling his young player, hang in there. The Browns can still pull this off, but it's their defense that's on the spot.
51-53. Ready?
Again to the 34-yard line. Most of the success Brees has had working on that Cleveland defense, it's been very good. It's been against the Terrence Mitchell, that corner, that side of the field. Pickup of 8.
51-53 from Omaha.
From the pot, wide open, middle of the field. Ted Ginn, and there he goes. Out of bounds at the 25 of Cleveland.
Not only do you allow the catch into the middle of the field for a big play, but you allow him to run out of bounds, and that's the Cardinals' sin. At the top of the screen, it's an in route, right? So you're going to throw the in route. Well, rally up and tackle, keep him in play, let the clock run, force him to call a timeout. There's the speed of Ted Ginn.
And again, it started out on the side of Terrence Mitchell. I'm not sure how that was supposed to be covered during the middle of the field, but a 42-yard gain. Right now, it's a 43-yard field goal if the Saints gain nothing. 43 seconds left. Kamara, well, he'll lose a yard. Saints with 2 timeouts of the clock running here. You're wondering about Will Lutz. He already has 1 miss today, a 44-yard miss. His career long is 53. Saints use a timeout.
Well, they better get off this yard marker, because I think this puts them right at about 44 if they're on the 26.
And that's been an unhealthy number for kickers today, no matter which sideline you're on. The Browns came in here. It looked like they were down and out, and what a big play on 4th down. The touchdown pass to work themselves into another tie again after the missed kick. And as Hugh Jackson said, we want to win now, but we're also working Baker Mayfield behind Tyrod Taylor, and when he's ready, we'll make that move. Cleveland fans just want to win.
Yeah, and Tyrod Taylor gave him an opportunity. I mean, that was a tremendous throw, under duress, just taking a shot downfield on 4th down and throwing an absolutely perfect pass.
35 seconds remain in regulation.
Ready. Blue 80, what's that?
Breeze to throw. Floats one and over the head of Ginn in the end zone. It's a little hesitation by Ted Ginn. And now it's 3rd down, and they need 11. It's more about getting in position for Will Lutz field goal to try and win this game. Well, Greg Williams' defense has come up with a number of big plays, but in the second half, the Saints got 2 touchdowns within a 6-minute span to take the lead before Tyrod Taylor brought his team back.
I mean, God, back to left, ready. 53,
Breeze throwing, middle of the field, incomplete. Trying to go to Austin Carr, and now you're looking at a 44-yard field goal try.
And how aggressive were those 2 last play calls? I mean, this is a outside press and then back across the face to the middle of the field. You had him completely turned around. It's a great matchup for Austin Carr in that situation, but just couldn't make the connection. But 2 balls thrown towards the end zone on the last 2 plays for the Saints.
So Lutz has the leg. He's over 50 yards, made 4 out of 5, including 53 a career long, but 44 for the lead. It's up there and out there and right through there for the Saints.
Snap, hold, kick. Everybody takes it for granted, right? We've seen it. Football games come down to it. And great job by Will Lutz right there, finishing the opportunity straight down the middle.
And I'm sure the Browns kicker, Zane Gonzalez, on the other sideline was probably hoping for a miss, head down.
Well, about the only thing you can say is with the 2 incompletions, you did leave 21 seconds on the clock. You had an opportunity to take that down and kind of make this be the last play of the game. So you've left the Browns 21 seconds to work with, and stranger things have happened. We've seen it.
Moments ago we saw it with Tyrod Taylor's terrific throw to the back of the end zone for a touchdown on 4th and long. See if the Saints kick this into the end zone or they want to dribble it and watch that clock run. Cleveland does have one timeout. And Lutz will boom it through the end zone.
We always forget about the third phase of a team. Offense, defense, special teams. That PAT really got you out of sync. And then you miss the field goal.
And it has to get in your head. If
yeah.
You're a kicker.
And then here, you know, your quarterback makes a great throw, an opportunity to go up 19-18, and you pull that one.
A tough day and a frustrating day because it's not just you out there. Meanwhile, Brees, his 42nd career game-winning drive, 36th as a Saint, if his defense could hold up. Plenty of time for Taylor, and wide open, Jarvis Landry. At midfield with 14 seconds remaining. And a timeout for Cleveland. Depending upon what happens here, bonus coverage, the Buccaneers leading the Eagles by 7 down in Tampa Bay. Saints fans have seen their fill of the Bucs. Atlanta leading Carolina by 7. But bonus coverage of the defending Super Bowl champs trying to go to 2-0, and the Buccaneers trying to do the same.
I'll tell you what, that's a big chunk of yardage to give up on the first play of that series.
All you need is a field goal.
Yeah, right. No timeouts left now, but you knew they had one timeout. You had to protect the middle of the field in that situation. Now they've got to be more selective with the only 14 seconds left where this ends up.
I mean, you get 10 or 15 yards, you'll have a shot. Taylor, pass complete. Again, it's Callaway who had the touchdown grab moments ago. And that should give the Browns a shot if they elect to try a field goal, at least in the 50 range. With 8 seconds and no timeouts.
Hugh Jackson's taking no chances here. He's sending Zane Gonzalez out on the field to tie this game up.
It could all be about redemption for Zane Gonzalez. A 52-yard field goal attempt. He's 2 of 3 over 50 yards in his career. Gonzalez, he's missed to the left, he's missed to the right, and the Saints are going to win this game. The frustration for Cleveland continues.
My heart breaks for the kid. And he loses it right. He's been left the majority of the game today, and you overcompensate and you push it out to the right. You're on the sideline, you know, hoping you get an opportunity, as you pointed out, for redemption to come back and push your team into overtime.
To the Browns' credit, they were encouraging and supportive of him from his first miss. But he couldn't deliver in the end, and he feels terrible about it. And the Saints defense hung in there long enough for the offense to click. And New Orleans will go to 1-1 on the road at Atlanta. Meanwhile, Thursday night, the winless Browns take on the Jets. The Saints 21-18, and you saw the kicker for the Saints say hello and hang in there.